promoting businesses and organizations to help them reach their full potential. Lighten the path to the success of your business. Enhancing the lives of our listeners by talking about things that matters most. Helping you to shine your light emotionally, mentally, spiritually, socially, and physically. Spreading positive vibes. You've got it locked and you're listening to Light Vibrations, brought to you by Lyte Communications right here on CBN Radio 90.9 FM. And now your host and our director, Natasha Letza.
Hello, you've got it locked and you're listening to me, Tasha T, here bringing to you another episode of Light Vibrations. In our studios today we have Des. Welcome, Des.
Hi, Natasha. I'm speaking to Natasha, right?
Oh my gosh, you don't have to out me like that so all in the program. So listen, Light Vibrations, we're all about uplifting, educating and inspiring the community. What topic you have for us today?
Well, I think what we can talk a little bit about is a paradigm shift, I think, that maybe the planet, everybody's going through for necessity's sake. And I think if we embrace it, it could be quite transcendent for us.
When you say paradigm shift, take us deeper. What do you mean?
Oh, well, paradigm, I guess it would be good to define that a little bit to determine where the shift would take place. A paradigm is really your personal programming of how you operate, you act. People talk about your attitudes and your different points of view, how you think about things. And that's a compilation of a number of things. Nature and nurture, you would hear people talk about. And a compilation of that, how we grow up and our experiences in life, and then how we put ourselves forward to the world and perceive things. It's then considered our paradigm. It's that subconscious perspective that motivates us and gives us our logic even.
No, I love this conversation. It's a very electric conversation, dynamic. It's very, kind of intellectual, where, certain people don't even realize their paradigm or the way they think or the consciousness that's carrying them throughout the day. So let's start to a point where we talk about what are the common paradigms right now and how do you see those the way we think currently holding us back?
Well, I know for me, when I started this awareness of paradigms quite some years ago, it was because my conscious mind is desirous of something else. Maybe I look out on the world and I see things and I'm like, oh, that's nice, or that's different, or I'd like that experience. And then I try to pursue it. Now there are certain things that are innate to me, and I've cultivated, such as my talents, and everybody has their talents. So I seem to excel well in those areas, but in other areas it was a bit of a trial and it could have almost been frustrating. And I come to realize that's kind of how it is for the average person. And in my journey to shift and experience some of those things that had seemed elusive, then I came up on this understanding that I like everybody else I'm working with a paradigm, and that's my subconscious mind. So it then took me on this journey of trying to figure out how do I shift that, you know what I mean, and shift that to create a different program that will allow me to experience some of the things that my conscious mind is wanting to explore and experience. And so there are a lot of paradigms of lack and scarcity that people are experiencing. Fear-based paradigms that tend to hold people back. We always run into people and wonderfully intellectual people that just seems to not move forward and kind of stagnate, and that's pretty much based on the paradigms that we're working with.
That's very interesting. I like how you broke it down where paradigms holding you back. That's very profound in that is true. Sometimes, you know, we're on autopilot. You know, sometimes I'm driving in my car and then all of a sudden I'm home, right? And then I'm like,
That's the perfect example of
how did I get home? What did I pass? What did I see?
Yeah.
And I can't account for any of it, but you know, that is my subconscious self taking me to wherever I need to go. So when we talk about paradigms, it's a very serious thing. We have a lot of paradigms now where it's just lack and limitation. You could always sit and find and say, I can't do this, or I ain't good enough to do that, or I would never be this, I would never do that. And that is their self-programming that is keeping you stagnant. And people don't understand, and I find that a lot of people live by like as if they're outside of what's happening to them. Everything that's happening to them is a work of the devil. Everything that is happening to them is because somebody walking over behind them. Everything is always somebody controlling you, and we don't give enough power, effort into ourselves to say, listen, I can create my own destiny. I can do this, I can do this, and that's why I want us to go a little bit more deeper in this paradigm. And I've seen, and it's beautiful to watch, there's a lot of awakening going on too. We'll get to that, but let's talk a bit more about, you know, our power over self that we are allowing to just go by the wayside because we think everything is so controlled by something else.
Yeah, you made such wonderful points. They're a little jarring to admit when there's probably new information to you. But if people could just pause and realize that it's that self-talk, that mental chatter,
Definitely.
that really is reflective of who they seem to be. And do they like it? That's a good question to ask. Do they like it? Is it helping me in any way? This point of view that seems to be on rote, on autopilot in our mind. And the truth and the fact is, we need paradigms. That's how we exist. I mean, it's almost like we won't exist if we had to make a new choice in every moment. There's something that has to be a program on a computer. We can think of ourselves, and when we do that lateral correlation, we realize that the technology that we see in the world is based on ourselves. Yeah. So so let's understand that first. So we look outside and we see how a computer works, and it has a software and a program, because the physical structure of a laptop or desktop or anything is nothing without that program that's put onto it. Yeah. So how are we programmed? We're programmed by the time we're 7 years old. We're born, our mind is wide open, that clean slate that we talk about. That's why back in the day had that discrepancy or the conflict between nature and nurture. Are you born that way, or do you learn it? It's a compilation of both, because there's DNA that's involved, and DNA has quite a lot to do with certainly how we look and how we act as well, because it's a frequency. So the frequency is what, I mean, I could go kind of abstractly esoteric, but bear with me. It's everything is a frequency, eh? So even how we look, how things, when the frequency slows down and becomes material and 3D, it's still based on a frequency. And so some of the more ethereal things, some of the things that we can see, our attitudes and stuff, that's also a frequency.
Definitely.
And so by the time you're 7, you're fully programmed. That's when your mind closes now, and it stops being that clean slate where somebody, your mother, your father, your uncle, society, school, don't write on it. And so that, now some people have an advantage, because if you're born into a family line of great minds and people who are high achievers and wealthy and stuff, so they have a paradigm walking with. So by the time you come into that generation, the next generation of those people with that DNA, that's likely to be your paradigm. Yeah. So the rest of us, we're dealing with a lot of structures and things that really shutting down great potential. We are, in fact, as humans, just high potential, the highest level of potentiality. And so if we don't know that going through life, we'll just be the paradigm, because there's very little a child of 2, 3, 4 can do. They don't have that kind of reasoning ability to stop somebody placing onto them what they are now to be. And here you are later on, so there's lots of work. There's quite a bit of work when you come to that conscious realization. Now, conscious realization and awareness of the higher of the conscious mind is nothing. It's just knowledge. Wisdom is an application of things. So when you start to move into action and do the work, it's been said, it's the hardest work you'll ever do, but it's the most rewarding thing you'll ever do. So you have to do the work of shifting that paradigm so you can be that person that you envision yourself to be.
Definitely. You brought up two interesting things I want to jump on. Paradigms, you all but said paradigms is something that we inherit. We inherit a lot of the things that we hold as values to us from our foreparents, our parents, their parents, and a lot of things, even with me, I'm like, Mommy, why you do that? Or, you ask your mother certain things. They want you to do something. Okay, for instance, when I was having my children and my mother was like, you have to christen your child. So I was like, okay, so what's the purpose of christening? She couldn't answer me. Yeah. And because she couldn't answer me, I never christened any of my children. So that's like a paradigm that I broke, because I'm like, okay, so you just doing this because you were told to do it. Nobody didn't stop to ask why. Yeah. I said, well, it's more beneficial. They were dedicated where, I got, prayer and everything, make sure they prayed up. But I didn't see the sense in continuing a christening when I didn't even know what that was about. So the whole thought of a lot of our paradigms being inherited, that is something very real. We talk about the generational cost. The generational cost is ignorance. The generational cost is us buying into everything our forefathers bought into that took them nowhere. Right. And when you look down, you got pregnant at 15, your daughter got pregnant at 14, her daughter got pregnant at 13. Why you think that is? Yeah. That is the same paradigm that we're talking about now, and we as individuals have to step back, look at our family lineage, look at the things that we hold dear, look at the things that propel us unconsciously, and see, evaluate whether or not you feel, we call it a cause, but it's not a cause. It's just you just stuck in a negative paradigm.
So absolutely. So the programming, like I said, is energetic. But when we look at it, we're not making excuses. And you're talking about generational. Of course, what's a generation? And I think even I was somewhere and I heard a premier reference a generation be like 40 years, and that's about true. Anywhere from 25 to 40, 50, and stuff like that. But people used to think it was a longer period of time. A generation, but still, like when you buy 30, that's a new generation. And we're not talking about generation, the millennials and Xers and whatever like that. Not necessarily like that. Because if you look at it based on even those nomenclatures that people use throughout the history, recent history, some of them shift. Like some of them like 25 years, some are 10 years, some 7 years. How was that? I mean, it's just based on an attitude and all the zeitgeist of the time. What happening in this particular moment, especially with things moving so fast. So that's gonna shorten the gap of the generation. But a generation is on average like 25, 30 years, but it takes a lot of generations, Natasha, to overcome some of these paradigms. It takes a lot of generations, and if you talk about overcoming something like slavery that the black race went through, that's gonna take a lot of generations. We're talking about, they were saying like 400 generations, and I think right now we only maybe had like 30 or so generations. I was doing some research, but you ever heard the term epigenetics?
No.
Yeah, look that up. That has to literally do with, again, a bit about the frequency of DNA and stuff like that. And that's what's in some of the races that torture if you will. That's what you're seeing played out generation after generation that creates the paradigms. You know what I mean? So we're not in a powerful position really when it comes to epigenetics. But once you become aware of certain things, you start to realize, hey man, I could do something. The work I have to do other than go to my job 8 to 5 and trade my time for money. In between that, I got to find some time to deal with this epigenetic paradigm that I have come into and give myself the best possible opportunity for the life that you're looking to create. You know what I mean? I can't say good, bad, or indifferent, because what's good to you might not necessarily be good to me. But whatever the basis for you are determined is a step forward in something different and better. That's for you, and that's for you to determine, and that's for you to take hold of the knowledge and apply it to that.
If you're just tuning in, you've got it locked and you're listening to Lyte Vibrations here on 90.9 FM CBN Radio. You're chilling with me, Tasha T, and our guest today, Des, on a very spiritual height here, talking about paradigms and paradigm shifts. And you said something interesting just now when you referenced slavery. A lot of the paradigms that we know, specifically as a race, Black people, have going on now, or birth in slavery, and have been perpetuated down generations through the mothers. A lot of the disrespect for the men, a lot of the way we view ourselves in relation to other people. Absolutely. A lot of the way we view ourselves in relation to other Black people. Absolutely. A lot of that was bought during that era of slavery and post-slavery. And when we're talking about paradigm shifts, it's something that you would definitely have to walk on. You have to first walk to recognize what it is. What is the constant chatter, your subconscious? Where is your subconscious taking you? Why is it taking you there? Absolutely. You have to sit back and look back at your people, at your life, at, why you keep attracting this type of person. Like you say, everything is a frequency. And that is very real. When you hear some people, when they say, oh, they get upset with you, oh, my spirit don't take you. And they say, oh, because you're a negative person. You're, no. Your spirit don't take somebody because their vibration and your vibration ain't meshing. That has happened to me. I'm a person where I don't form opinions about people, but if you hear my vibration say, I ain't touching you with a 10-foot pole.
You respect it.
You understand what I'm saying? So there's things that's working, and I think just as how we allow, or we sit back and we decide to ourselves, oh gosh, this is the life, and pour me and pour this and pour that because I can't do nothing about my life. There's a fella saying you feeding your own negative vibration, your own negative paradigm, and you will only get negative results. Like one thing that irked me too, there's, how you doing? I ain't too bad. Right? Why you have to be that? That is how many times people ask you how you doing in one day? That is a time for you to bless yourself. When somebody asks me, oh, I'm wonderful, I'm blessed and highly favored, you have to speak life to yourself. Absolutely. And it starts there. If you're trying to have this paradigm shift, oh, this pain killing me. Well, if it's killing your egg, you're going dead from it.
You have just killed yourself in that moment. Yes.
And how much time you kill yourself during the day, and then what you think will happen, you're going to survive whatever you're going through? Exactly. You must die because you're proclaiming death over yourself.
All the time. And in addition to that, Tasha T, hey, it's for real, because check this out. How you doing? Yeah, all right. That's definitely on myself. But what you think it is? What you think it is when I sit here and I watch her she over there with her this and her that, and she do me this and she do me that? Who that on? She on me. You. That on me, because that's the vibration. Business, living happy. And that's the vibration I'm in. Yes, exactly. So people think hate and think the Bible, and depends on what good book you read. All of those, that's always the truth, because you're corrupting your own system. You know what I mean? And ain't nobody to blame for that. So that's why it's good to live upful. It's good to live good with people and to just bless people, because when you feel that blessing that you are offering to somebody, you feeling that, and that's nurturing to your system. You know, so you and there's a term that's the truest. You do nothing outside of yourself. Nothing happens outside of you. So if you live from certain points of view, it's you have this potential to always be augmenting the benefit to yourself. One cocoa full basket. You know what I mean? And you can't just take from here and turn around 180 and then go in another direction. Nah, that's not realistic either. Let's keep it real. So what is the potential? What is the possibility? Every day, put in some time towards benefiting yourself and creating that being, that expression of life, of the source energy that comes through you the way you are.
But you see that time thing you just mentioned, that is the source of our biggest paradigm holdback yet. Because listen here, we have families, right? We have loved ones. You come into work 8 hours, 10, 12. Some people work them kind of shit, 12 hours a day. When you go home, you send your children off to school, your spouse, everybody go their separate ways. You come home, the 3 or 4 hours before you go to sleep that you have, what are you going to do?
Do their homework with them.
No, them ain't getting no homework after 12 hours.
Okay.
You're going to find somebody, you can catch up with your friends somewhere trying to release your stress or be by yourself or whatever. We're not buying into that time. We ain't buying into that time. That time thing is keeping us back in so many ways. When we ready to kick the bucket, when you there laying on your bed and all you want is somebody to come and see you.
And the reel of your life playing in front of your eyes.
You realize,
like,
oh my God,
is that what I did?
That's not what it was. That connections, interpersonal relationship. But now we in this paradigm now, because now I got to work 15 hours. I got to work 2 jobs to make sure I'm gonna raise themselves, because I in this kind of economic position. The rent and Tatola is crazy. $1,600 a month. As a single mother, my child father ain't paying no child support. I need 3 jobs. Meanwhile, what these children up to, where the time is. And this is the biggest paradigm
that's a deep
that
scenario
we
you just posed
have to carry.
Yeah. It's a reality for quite a few people. I mean, however, keep hope alive, as the joke goes, but the truth, I think maybe Martin Luther King or whoever may have said it. It's up to you. What I do now, and I don't have a lot of the encumbrances, but I do have a very intense job that I go to daily. What I have been finding that I do for myself, and of course I have my other business ventures as a creative, so it behooves me then, for the life I want to create, to get up at 4:30 in the morning. And I was inspired by a friend who gets up at 3:30 in the morning, and that means watching Netflix, maybe not even talking to that friend anymore, especially if they ain't telling you the vibes like that of liberty and uprightness, and this is what we together, we kind of partner in and reflecting this transcendence that we're looking for. And then people might, you still love them, but you gotta find that time to really, and that's what's good about the contemporary world that we live in, where we can find our mirror reflections of people on the same vibe. On the internet, you go to YouTube, you go to any number of places, blogs and vlogs, and you see people talking that vibe that you be like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I want to hear some more of that. So you seek those people out, and so that's the good about the world that we live in now. The immediacy of access and stuff like that. It might has its drawbacks, but it's how you use it. And so you access the information and things that's gonna feed the conscious mind enough that it starts to shift and break down that subconscious paradigm.
Definitely. And one thing I think people underestimate too is the importance of making a decision. If you sit here and you decide and you say, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be that, your subconscious will provide you that path. All of a sudden now, because you on another frequency, you seeing all kind of things coming to you on the meditation where you on. I don't know if it was there all the time or not, that your focus is there, you're seeing it. It could be any number
could be any of those two.
Those
any number of
things.
Those two. Yeah.
But once you decide this is what you're doing, the path will make itself clear for you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times where we get caught up, and I know I was there for many, many years, it's a part of indecision. You just going with the flow. The wave push you left, you gone left. The wave push you right, you gone
because
right.
You don't realize the wave is based on your frequency. You don't realize that. So you're sleeping kind of at the wheel, and you think things are happening to you, but the same kind of stupid or good or whatever things are happening to you, and you say, well, that's life, c'est la vie, you know what I mean? Not realizing that you are co-creator with the universe in how things shape up and the opportunities that now become different. And then you have to acknowledge, oh, because I start doing this and thinking like that and having interest in this and that, how come all of a sudden I see it all the time now? Was it not always there? When you look at the past and say, well, I was here for 50 years, so that it has to be you, right?
It's definitely
it has
you.
to be you.
And your awareness.
Absolutely.
And your vibration. Because definitely what you think about, what you feel about, what you care about,
what you feel about,
bring
mostly,
about.
Yes. Oh, I love that. That is so beautiful.
So is that what are we bringing about? What are we creating in our own lives? What are the thoughts that we're having repeatedly every day? Sometimes I used to have these weird thoughts. Sometimes you get lost in some negative stuff, you know. And then I realized, wait, now in the way to go and think, instead of thinking about what if so and so happens, think more of what would you do if so and so happens. So now this gets you from a reactive place to a proactive place. So if something like that should ever happen, you don't have a game plan. But when we think about what if, you just basically scaring yourself versus you being an active participant in combating whatever that issue is.
Absolutely. Because the mind is just reaching for a frequency of congruence, and if the frequency is that of fear and scarcity and all of those anxious, depressive thoughts, it's gonna draw those circumstances. It's a magnetic holographic world that we live in. So I think the bottom line is the average person doesn't know that. The information is out there. They can access it in any number of very palatable ways. Some more use a bit more comfortable language, some are a bit more esoteric and abstract even, but it behooves any individual to reach out and pick up a book and do a different search instead of searching for shoes, which I love to search for shoes, don't get me wrong, but to really see that it's important to do the work. The work is there for you to do. This is the purpose of the life that we live. Really, I have come to realize that in a real way. Ain't no joke.
Ain't no joke, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you have exactly you've been listening to your girl Tasha T here, chilling with Des on this another episode of Light Vibrations, here bringing to you positivity, upward vibes, and a lot of love to help you transcend to that next level of your vibration. Des, final thoughts.
Hey, final thoughts. Pick up a good book, everybody. Go inside of yourself and be the watcher. Actually, do the experience of watching your thoughts. See if you can separate the chatter that goes on and be the person that be like observing it. That's a really interesting experiment to do, and take the time to see if you can just watch it, listen to it, and hear it subside. I mean, not go all the way away. But that's the experience of meditation, and see if you can engage in certain type of practices that allows you to have a different rising of yourself and a different spiritual experience that will no doubt benefit you.
And I love that, be the watcher, because I watch my thoughts too. After I realize they were getting out of control sometimes, and when I see a thought pop into my head, I know it's not me. I replace that with positive, and I affirm it. I say it. I don't even just think it. I say it. I know that my thought. That's not my thought. So you ain't gonna get no dominion here.
Absolutely.
So you have to definitely be that watcher. Be that watcher. Secure your thoughts. secure what you feel about. Replace every bad thing. Use your energy to find a solution and not lament on a problem, because as you lament, more things to lament about will come to you. Okay, so once again, thank you for tuning in. It was a wonderful talk today, and we do hope that our listening audience would have garnered something. Light vibrations, people. Like it, share it, and let's go keep this positivity and this upward movement progressing. Blessings. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Natasha. Keep doing what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Light Vibration. And don't forget to tune in this time next week as we continue to bring you life-changing information. Until next time, shine your light.